talking about, she's one of the co-authors of the toolkit, and I always mess up the name of it. So what's the name of the toolkit?
Let's just say Puberty Toolkit.
Puberty Toolkit, but it's puberty and adolescence and so much more than that. I like it. It defies description because it's got so many fabulous things in it. And I had run into you at Stephanie's Day just a couple of weeks ago, and you were about to go to Washington, and then we got to see on Facebook that you had some amazing pictures of an amazing event. Talk about what this thing was. Why'd you go to Washington?
Well, it was our Autism Speaks Autism Treatment Network, and we'll just use letters from now on. Sponsored by ARP. It was the ATN Network Steering Committee meeting, and we have it in Washington, D.C., and I am the FAC co-chair, the Family Advisory Committee co-chair, which is, so we are a binational organization. It has 14 sites, 2 in Canada, including 2 in Canada. So we all come together and we talk about amazing, wonderful, fabulous things that we are focusing this year primarily on family integration with the FAC network. And I really believe in that. I really believe in family-centered care and family integration, but I was also given the honor to present on reaching underserved families and underserved population, and I spoke on what exists in LA, and we all get together as a meeting of the minds to see how other sites can benefit from our knowledge being so multicultural here. Yeah. But there was also other presentations on how you reach underserved communities and what that actually meant, what disparities actually mean, because most people might think race or socioeconomic status. It could also mean rural areas and other things. There's been some amazing talks about how to reach those children as well, and the whole purpose of having these conversations for me was to represent what I call the term that I didn't create it, but I'm coining it, is a phrase called a cultural broker. And what cultural brokerage is a community healthcare worker that is of ethnicity and or the equal or like socioeconomic status, rural status. It would be one of their own going to go talk to their own.
Okay, somebody they can relate to.
Somebody that they can relate to in one way or another. And what that does is it creates what I call a bridge to care, so that more families are able to be served and able to be diagnosed and able to receive the proper interventions and so many other things. And it was a pleasure and it was a complete honor to be able to represent that and speak a little bit more about that, which is why you always see me in the community. Yeah. I'm at Stephanie's Day. I'm at Tools for Transformation. I'm where I need to be to help people. Yeah. And to help my community. And so that was really what it was about. And honestly, as a side note, I think this is great. I was going to propose legislation for a universal access bill that I wanted to try to get. But then I found out Hillary Clinton's team was already on top of it, from universal access for underserved communities and families all the way through adulthood and work programs. And I was impressed when I read it, and I was like, oh man, she cut out some of the work. Let's see if she can. I'm going to stay on her as soon as, she better not get in there. I'm going to be back up at Capitol Hill on that day saying, hey, this is what you were saying you were going to do, and this is what our families need. Yeah. And so that cultural brokerage extends all the way to the White House, and we're not joking around. It's the children who are diagnosed 2 to 3 years later than other children, and then they don't get the proper intervention. There's no early access to care. There's nothing, and it really affects their lives for the long term. Absolutely. And so I always relate that to my own personal situation. I know we'll get into it with my daughter, but of course I do everything from a mom perspective. Okay, I'm a mom first. Yeah. Right. And so all of these things are great, and I appreciate when you call me a force, but there's something driving that force. Yeah.
Your why is very strong.
Yes, there's a why, and I have more than one why. So and now I have a why for other people. So it's about being also an outering parent, not just worrying about my child or my family, my nephew. I'm thinking about all the children who are like our children, who have yet to have that opportunity. And, just really just thinking about that as a global issue and making this a global community.
Absolutely. I think, we talk about the phrase that we use on the show all the time is about it's not a level playing field. We have a live feature and we ask people to write in and we tell them it's completely anonymous and we want it that way so that people can ask whatever they want to ask. But I say to them, include as much information as you can. But unfortunately, one of the pieces of information that's really helpful to us is if you let us know what the biggest major city is close to you, because it's not a level playing field. If you're writing to me from Arkansas, the resources I can tell you about are so vastly different than if you're writing to me from New York State.
Yes.
And that, to me as a parent, that's one of the things that gripes me so badly. We're an international show, and people will write us from countries all around the world, and obviously it's going to be different in those arenas, obviously. But the fact that we live in the United States of America, and it is supposed to be united, and that we do not yet have a level playing field for autism or other disabilities, honestly, but I think the gap for autism is so much bigger. It's horrifying to me. And the fact that, I love that the community uses the phrase underserved populations with the S, because it's not defining it and saying, oh, it's this community or it's this religion or it's this race, because it defies that. When we talk about underserved populations, I think there are more underserved populations than served populations.
Now, we'll have to state the numbers on that, but we'll have to go back and look at the numbers. But you know what? That's the reason why I speak up so loudly, because, and we have a site in Arkansas.
There you go.
I love those people. We get together and we talk about what happens at the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles site and the Arkansas site.
Right.
You know what I mean? We get together and see what's going on. But that's it's so funny that you even said that state, because of the rural community that they have that are driving 2 hours away to a tertiary site to get, you know what I mean? And how all of our children are just really receiving outpatient care and emergency departments. But then I think globally, I was just a part of a movie project, Autism at the Audi Center, and it was a Czech Republic project. And there, wouldn't you know that autism is maybe 20 years old there. Right. There's no one over 20. They just, that has autism. Those people that have been diagnosed, those individuals have been put in insane asylums. Yeah. And there's no care and there's no everything. And these people got together with the help of a wonderful lady that I know, Lisa Krasner, who's the director. She works at UC Irvine, which is our new ATN site, that she got together and went over there and helped them really just realize their own power, empower these people to develop their own Audi Center that really now serves families and the parents and the village, I would say, got together and decided this is what we want to do with our kids and for our kids. And so this next journey that I'm on is really, this next portion of my journey is to really tell my story and make sure that I see it as more than just my centralized focus community, and see it as a global community, and empower people and give them the knowledge and train them and training, and I mean parent education wise, to be able to help serve their children. Because guess what? Our babies grow up. Yeah, no kidding. They grow up, and what do we do in puberty, and then what do we do after puberty, and then you know what I mean? And they're real living, breathing humans. So I just
they
see
matter.
It as that, and they matter, and my child matters, and your child matters. Yeah. Those children matter. Yeah, they matter to me. Yeah. So it's really one of the driving forces behind me. Just every time you see me, Shannon, I'm like, I see you doing that,
and I respect that. I totally respect that, which is why I was thrilled to have you come in today.
Thank you.
And we want to talk a little bit about your specific circumstances, because you are so willing to tell your story. So I think we should take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about, and during the break, that I'm going to talk to her about Tembiza, because I got to put Tembiza on your global map. But then we'll come back and talk about your relationship with your daughter and some of the things that you've gone through that you're willing to share, so that other people can. I think when we bring things into the light, we send some of the darkness away. And, you know, not everybody can do that.
Yes.
And not everybody's ready to bring things into the light, but you are.